Doing it live. Doing it live. Okay. We are live. Just doing a late night live stream. I am tired. I just got back from seeing the new Batman movie, and I just wanted to give some quick thoughts about it, some stuff that I wrote down before I forget. Long story short, I don't think it was very good. Um, I think it started off pretty strong and pretty compelling, and I was into it at the beginning. I think Robert Pattinson did a great job. However, I think that it just kind of devolves slowly, and for how long it is, it really didn't do a great job, in my opinion, of capturing my attention along with some of the audience members, which I'll get into in a minute. So I wrote down a little list here of what I guess liked and didn't like. The stuff I didn't like is a little bit longer. So anyway, just a quick little concise live stream that I thought I would do. Anyway, for one thing, I did notice that it probably would have been a great Halloween release. I don't know if they intended to release it around Halloween originally. Maybe like pandemic stuff messed that up. But obviously, there's a Halloween theme to it. And I should say spoilers ahead too. I'm gonna edit the title later to say spoilers. But if you're watching this, spoilers. Also, I think The Dark Knight is still king. I think that when you watch this movie, it's impossible to not draw parallels to the Nolan trilogy and specifically The Dark Knight, especially when you see the angle that they tried to go with the Riddler. And I think that, I'll get to that because, like I said, it's a bit of a list. But it started off strong. It kind of dragged. And then at some point kind of turned into a Catwoman movie, which obviously, that was a fear for a lot of people was, oh, we're going to, probably get the old switcheroo, right? And we're going to be, pulled into the seats for Batman and then end up getting some fucking Catwoman movie. And that's essentially kind of what happened, at least for a little bit of the movie. What else? Oh yeah, it starts off narrating, and I kind of like the narration. It was a little bit different. Batman was keeping like a diary, and I thought that was interesting. I think they did do that in the comics before. I think specifically they made a reference to year two. So basically, he was writing down his thoughts as Batman, his experience. I like the tech that he used in the movie. That was okay as well. And then I guess we're already to the Riddler, so I might as well talk about that. So the Riddler in the Redditor. Yeah, that's a better one. The Redditor, the incel Redditor Riddler villain. He seemed like an amalgamation of a kind of cheap Joker knockoff and also kind of like an incel. And then the vibes that I got from his portrayal, from Paul Dano's portrayal, was that I feel like Matt Reeves has the same idea that David Ayers had for Suicide Squad, if anyone remembers, Jared Leto Joker, which is essentially the idea is the more random and sporadic the character is, the more kooky and crazy he is. Oh, look, he's randomly, lingering on certain words and saying them funny. So he's obviously mentally ill and autistic. This incel guy, he's a big threat to Batman. And I just thought that was a little bit overdone. The constant cell phone videos throughout the movie, like in The Dark Knight, they used that, pretty like limited. And there was just that one chilling video in The Dark Knight that I remember. And again, I feel like you have to draw parallels to The Dark Knight. You have to, because that is like the standard for Batman movies now, right? And I know there's going to be people and DC fans that will argue, well, no, this isn't, trying to be like that. This is trying to be a detective noir movie, right? This is a more, younger, inexperienced Batman that's just trying to do the more detective angle. That's fine. And I'm all for that. That stuff is great. I love that. However, I don't think that they executed it in a way that made it nearly as interesting as it could have been, especially for that runtime. And there's a lot of people snoring in the theater. That's not, not to be a dick, but there was quite a few people that were just snoring and were just like, passing out during the movie. And the theater wasn't that packed, which I thought for a Batman movie, you should expect the theater to be packed as soon as tickets are available. I mean, I was excited. That's why I went tonight, which was technically, Thursday night showtime. Anyway, I don't want to keep this too long, so let's keep going down the list. But yeah, again, so I thought that the Riddler was not great. And then maybe the fact that I knew it was Paul Dano behind the mask ruins it a little bit, because to me it's like you can picture his kind of dumb face behind the mask as you're watching the movie. And so when he's talking weird and he's making these, strange, like, vocal, like, patterns, and screaming randomly, like, you just picture Paul Dano, and in me, in my head, rather, I'm tired, I'm out of it, but in my head, I was waiting for fucking Daniel Day-Lewis to come out of nowhere and beat the shit out of him. So yeah, lots of scenes were just done poorly, in my opinion, because they were trying to, I feel like, mimic The Dark Knight. And again, The Dark Knight has to come into play. Just to draw a few comparisons that I thought, this iteration failed on was the Batmobile, for one. I think this Batmobile kind of sucked. Like, I get the whole muscle car angle, and it could have been cool, but at the same time, I feel like that chase scene, that's another thing, that chase scene with the Penguin, which I think Colin Farrell, I'll just get this out of the way. I think Colin Farrell did a great job as the Penguin. I didn't see Colin Farrell at all, which is the same feeling that I had when I was watching the Heath Ledger Joker. I remember looking and being like, I'm trying to see you, Heath Ledger. I can't find you in that role. And so that's when they've really disappeared into it. That's the same vibe that I got with Colin Farrell as the Penguin. But yeah, the car chase scenes, obviously The Dark Knight had that iconic car chase that, I don't know, at the time, I remember in 2008 being in the theater when The Dark Knight came out, and an opening night, right? It was like a Thursday night as well. And the theater was fucking packed. It was insane. I remember it was in Massachusetts. I was going to a camp in Massachusetts at the time. I lived in Connecticut, but I went to a summer camp. And for that night, we got out and we got to go to see a movie, Some of the Counselors. And we did, and it was just insanely packed. There was like police everywhere and security guards because of like Bloods and Crips. It was like crazy night, very memorable. And I'll never forget the applause, the roar from the audience when Batman in the Nolan, in the Dark Knight, movie, flips over the truck. You know what I mean? And it was just outstanding. This chase, it was okay. I mean, it was good. Like, I'm not saying that it was bad, but when you have expectations of previous Batman films that did such a superb job, obviously you're going to have to draw some parallels. And I think that it wasn't as good as it could have been. The whole Penguin, that's another thing, is I noticed a lot of moments that really did seem like they borrowed from the Nolan trilogy. So when the Penguin caused that huge accident on the highway and there's a huge explosion and everything is blowing up, and he's all excited because he's like, I got him, I got you, you psycho. Again, it was very reminiscent of the Joker, kind of being like, he missed, in the Nolan movie, and thinking that he had the upper hand on Batman for a minute, and then obviously Batman reveals himself. So I noticed that, and then there was also the prison scene where there was two prison scenes that were really bad, but this one prison scene where he has that one-on-one with Batman, right? That face-to-face, that moment where, finally, like, he kind of unveils his plan. Oh, I lost my little thing there. And basically, he has that one-on-one with Batman, and it just, again, gave me that strong, Dark Knight vibe with the Batman and the Joker in the interrogation scene, except it was better in the Dark Knight because Batman was there face to face and he started fucking beating the shit out of the Joker, and the Joker starts laughing maniacally. It is so well done, like, if anything, this movie just wanted me to go back and rewatch the Dark Knight. And so again, in this movie, in the new Batman, the Riddler and the Batman are separated by glass, and so I feel like it doesn't make it as powerful as a moment as it could have been. And then on top of that, you have the part, just like in the Dark Knight, where the Joker reveals his plan that there are two locations, and Harvey Dent's at one of them, and Rachel's at one of them, and Batman's got to choose, and this is the hero's dilemma. Kind of the same thing here, where the Riddler reveals his plan, kind of, and just like in the Dark Knight, where the Batman goes crazy and starts screaming, "Where is she?" and beating the shit out of him. Robert Pattinson's Batman, which again, I like Robert Pattinson's portrayal of Batman here, but I feel like he kind of channeled Christian Bale's voice and started, to go like, he started screaming. I think I wrote down what he was screaming. It was just like, he just started screaming to the Riddler. I don't know, I lost it, but it was very, and he did the same voice and everything, where he was like, what is it, or where is it, or something like that. Yeah, I think that's what it was, like, where is it? So I was like, yeah, this is all, I'm getting all the same vibes, like Matt Reeves sat down and watched The Dark Knight and was like, yeah, we're gonna try and do that, except a little bit slower, a little bit more boring, and I don't know, not as well executed. Let's see. We also have the I wrote down here, it started to feel like a soap opera, obviously, and I know that it was meant to be, this kind of complex, rather entangled plot where everybody in Gotham is involved, from the higher ups, and then you get the big reveal that Bruce Wayne's dad was also involved in some capacity in this big political scheme, and this corruption. It started to feel like a soap opera to me. And then Robert Pattinson's Batman being a younger, more emo Batman really drove that point home for me. It was like he was always kind of like, yeah, he got the brooding part down, but in my opinion, when you're an adult with like a 5 o'clock shadow Batman and you look kind of depressed, that's brooding. When you're Robert Pattinson and you still have a relatively young face, right, and you kind of look like a teenager still, that to me just kind of seems like whining, like teenage angst, So that's my thoughts on that. A lot of people in my theater were laughing, and at parts that were not supposed to be funny. And I did write that down because I made a note of it. It happened several times. It happened almost every time and it wasn't just one group of like assholes or something, right? It was like you heard it from this side and you heard it from that side, and like it was just like every now and then you just heard people burst out in laughter at jokes or rather at scenes that were not meant to be jokes. So I took note of that every time the Riddler was doing his little like his little Instagram lives or whatever, right? Where he's like talking to the camera and he's like, oh, I'm wacky and crazy. And, oh, you don't know what words I'm going to linger on. Like, he was doing weird shit. It's just like, there's a point where you have to treat that kind of stuff carefully. Like, because it can become cringe very quickly. And I feel like that's what happened in this case with the Paul Dano Joker. And speaking of Paul Dano and Joker, we'll get to that in just a minute. But for me, it didn't really work. It drags because it is a long movie. And I actually watched, what's his name? I think it was Chris Stuckman and his review of it. And I like Chris Stuckman. I trust what he says. And the same thing, you know what? People meme on Doug Walker a lot, but I actually appreciate Doug Walker's reviews and criticisms. But sometimes I have to wonder if they got paid to do a review and just give it a little thumbs up, Hey, Chris Stuckman, hey, Doug Walker, we know you guys have a big following here. We'll throw you a few bucks if you just kind of tell your audience that it was a good movie, that it didn't drag. Because for me, it did drag. And for other people in the theater, you can clearly tell it was dragging. There was people walking out and coming back in, and it just didn't seem like an experience where everybody is glued to the fucking screen. And that's the experience that I had at The Dark Knight, probably with every fucking Nolan movie. Derpy Gaming says, you want some bullshit. That's all right, bro. You know what? You don't have to like my opinion, but that's just how I felt. It was just very long. It dragged on. The police station scene where he, after the explosion in his face, in Batman's face, where he is knocked unconscious, he is taken to the police station and he wakes up and he, is conscious again, and he's surrounded by fucking cops. My heart was pounding. I was like, this could be sick. Like, I started to think this can be one of those Netflix Daredevil moments. That's what I was getting. That I feel like that's what they were setting up, was I can feel him beating the shit out of a bunch of these cops and getting the fuck out of there, right? Like having to do like a one shot, right? Just like, I thought they really were. My head was going, oh, are they about to give the Netflix Daredevil one shot hallway scene a run for its money? And by the way, Netflix Daredevil did it 3 times. They did the hallway scene in season 1, the rooftop going down the staircase scenes in season 2, and then the prison scene in season 3. All, I think, one take. At least they made it look like one take very well, even if it wasn't. No, no, I completely got let down at that part again. And again, it's not like I was like going into this movie thinking it was going to be bad, but I found myself being let down. And that was one of those parts because he's, he gets out of the table. He does punch a few cops. He makes a little funny joke about assaulting 3 officers because they were going to arrest him for assaulting 1. That's all cool. But then he just fucking books it and he just runs, dude. He just runs and he obviously has that cool plan with Gordon, and he runs the fuck out of there. And I'm like, well, that kind of takes the whole disappearing element away from Batman. But not to mention, I feel like they could have had a really good fight scene there, and they just kind of left it on the table, So that was disappointing. And then he jumps off the roof. I didn't like the wingsuit. To me, you can just go with. I mean, it's a comic book movie after all. We don't have to be super realistic here. You could have just done the old-fashioned cape, spreads open and makes Batman fly or glide rather. No, they did like a whole wingsuit setup, which I guess maybe some people might like that. It wasn't awful. What I did like about that scene though, when he jumps off the roof and he's flying, is that because he's a younger, inexperienced Batman, they show him fuck up and he falls. He doesn't nail it, right? Like he didn't have this smooth fucking landing, this superhero landing, if you will, on like one knee and shit. He fucking glides and he's, clearly losing control. And then he fucking hits like a bridge and a truck and falls. That was okay. I was like, all right, yeah, that's cool. I totally get that. I can totally see that with this Batman. So that was feasible to me. All right, going down the list here, almost done. Oh God, the Joker cameo, dude. Holy shit. If people disagree with me at this point, I hope at the very least everybody can be in agreement on how awful this Joker cameo was. One, it was completely out of left field. All right. The scene is Riddler is in prison and he's having a mental breakdown. And again, people in my theater were fucking laughing. And I don't think they were supposed to be laughing, right? Because this is like an autistic incel that is like having a mental breakdown in the fucking in his prison cell. But essentially, because the way it was handled, I feel like it just kind of didn't get the right response from audiences. So regardless, he's having his breakdown and then the Joker starts talking to him. And obviously you don't know right away, but it's revealed that he's the Joker because he says this thing where he's like, one day you're on top and the next day you're the clown. And it's like, clown must be Joker. And then, as if that wasn't putting it right in your fucking face, they pan the camera over to the cell and you can see quite clearly the outline, the silhouette, and even this, I think, scars and makeup of Joker. And the guy that I should have probably looked up who they got to play the Joker, although it might not be on IMDb yet. It could have been one of those things that they were trying to keep under wraps. It was just awful, dude. It was just like this random fucking Joker. They could have just, I don't know, they could have brought Joaquin Phoenix in, or they could have done a number. Maybe even the Jared Leto Joker would have worked better than this random fucking guy that they brought in that totally just fell flat for me and the audience. Dude, this is a Joker reveal in a Batman movie. Regardless of the audience size, at least one person in the theater should be going fucking nuts, right? When they reveal that it's the Joker in Arkham, it didn't happen. Nobody gave a fuck. In fact, people were rather confused, including me. I was scratching my head like, this seems off. This seems like a studio decision, right? Like I feel like if you asked Matt Reeves, he would say, "Yeah, that wasn't my call. They needed to set up a Joker for the sequel and blah blah blah." That's what I got from it. Again, disappointing. Super annoying. I don't know. That part almost pissed me off. It was like you wasted a very great opportunity. If you were gonna bring the Joker in, you could have done 100 things to make it fucking sick, but you kind of squandered it. And it was just this guy, and the voice was, and the laugh, the Joker laugh. Oh, dear God. I mean, the Joker laugh is a hard thing to get right. And you can sound really stupid if you don't deliver it with that maniacal, sincerely crazy fucking twist. And if it just sounds like you're just a guy acting like the Joker, which this is what it sounded like, then I think you're going to lose people. I didn't like that either. It just kind of all this stuff further confirms the complete disarray that WB and the DCEU are in. They'll kind of have semi-decent movies come out, and then they'll have some shit like this, which I don't know what the return is going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was like a one-off movie that does relatively well because it's a Batman movie, but not enough to warrant a sequel. And I feel like the way Warner Bros. Is, they'll just end up fucking like trashing the sequel and moving on and recasting Batman again. So you can probably expect in the next 2-3 years another Batman movie, but this time they're probably gonna fucking do, I don't know, do something fresh. WB, fucking let's give us Terry McGinnis, give us Batman Beyond. It's time. Michael Keaton, teased the other day a Batman shadow on his Instagram. I don't know what that means. I hope they have something good in the works, but honestly, it's like, and it sucks because this movie should have been good. All the right things are in place. You have the right music in place. The score is good. The color palettes and the cinematography are good. Like everything looks like it should be good. The little sound effects and the dramatic pauses and the way that they kind of linger on Batman and his expressions in certain scenes, right? When he's just kind of like Robert Pattinson does a great job. Again, his eyes, they do a lot of the talking for him. Very stern, but also very young, and you can tell there's moments where he seems kind of like freaked out and like, whoa, I'm not ready for this. Like I didn't expect this as Batman. So again, all that was great, but I feel like ultimately they're just gonna like trash it and move on with another Batman. I don't know. I put some pros down too, so it's not all negative because I know that I'm a little bit frustrated because I'm a fan, dude. I want this shit to be good. I want them to knock it out of the fucking park, and I was excited, and I went with Gwen, and it was like a pretty good experience at first, except some people in the theater were obnoxious, and then like I said, there were people that were laughing at parts that they shouldn't have been laughing at. All that, whatever. The pros were, I like the suit. I think the suit was actually really cool. I like the functionality of it. I like the little batarang knife on his chest logo and stuff. That was a quick little thing. If you blink, you miss it, but it was cool. I like the detective aspect. Fucking his lenses he has contact lenses that are cameras. God damn it, that's sick. And totally something that I've been waiting to see in a Batman movie. Although I think it would have been cooler if they just did kind of I guess like CGI eyes or some kind of white eyes, just like the cartoon Batman, and then it's kind of his mask that he can record everything with. So it's almost it's so funny, dude, because I'm trying to be positive and now I'm overthinking it, and now it's turning out to be negative because it seems to me like it's kind of overcomplicated to make like a contact lens that can record camera with pretty good quality and has like decent audio, whereas you could just have done the cowl be like have eyes that record, I guess. I don't know. And then Robert Pattinson was great. I mentioned that. Alfred was fucking great, dude. And not enough Alfred. One part I thought was funny is that Alfred is the butler, obviously, but then he has the older lady that was like his butler. So it was like butler inception. I feel like it's like Bruce Wayne is employing like just like a shit. He's the only person that's still employing butlers in Gotham, because there was like him, and then there was like the girl that was under Alfred. So I just thought that was a little bit comical. And it was weird too, because like this girl that's there in the Wayne Manor, it seems like she wasn't in on the whole Batman thing. So you would think that for Bruce Wayne, that would be a no-no. Like another thing that was pretty clear in the Nolan movies, and even in the fucking like Joel Schumacher movies and stuff, was that it's only Alfred that's in on the secret, and obviously Lucius Fox, but he doesn't live at Wayne Manor. And then if you introduce Robin and other people, that's a different story. But so to me, it's kind of like you introduced Alfred, you didn't really utilize him that much. He was great. I feel like again, another missed opportunity, kind of like Jeremy Irons. I feel like was a good Alfred, but he wasn't used nearly enough. So maybe we just need a fucking Batman and Alfred movie. Fuck Batman and Robin, Batman and Nightwing, Batman Beyond. Scratch all that. Batman and Alfred. So that pretty much brings it to a close. I don't want this to drag on too long. I just wanted to do this quick. It's fucking 3 a.m. and I caught like the late showing. So that's it. Sorry if you liked it and you're still allowed to like it. Again, it's just an asshole on the internet with an opinion, and I wanted this to be good, but I didn't think it was good. And you're probably going to see as more people come out and see it. I feel like people are going to be disappointed. I feel like you're going to see Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the more people that come out and talk about it, you're going to see definitely mixed reactions. I don't expect this to be like a glowing fucking everybody, the consensus is it's a masterpiece. It's a hit. Everybody loves it. I don't expect to see that. I expect that it's going to be a divided fan base once again, which I'm fucking tired of, dude. I don't want that shit to happen. I've been through the fucking Last Jedi. I've been through all that, right? So like at some point you just want fans to agree on a movie that is good. I feel like there's a few comic book movies that have accomplished that lately. I think everybody kind of agreed on Spider-Man No Way Home, and then the Infinity War and Infinity or Endgame rather, and stuff. But yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. I'm tired. I'm fucking half asleep. Good night, and yeah, I'll be back with a video tomorrow, a surprise video. So yeah, peace out.